Crab.
Why don't crabs give to charity?
Why don't they give to charity?
Because the shellfish.
Okay, so I am back with another spirit animal video, and this one, of course, is the crab, right? And so how we would begin this is that I'll just lay out a couple of scientific facts about the animal as I sculpt it, and then let's jump into the message here. So some things that I found very interesting about crabs is that they're very similar to lobsters. And you know how a lobster has a tail? Well, crabs also have a tail too, but their tail is very, very small, and it's tucked right under their bellies. They do have gills, so crabs do breathe through their gills, so they cannot live for very long times on land. They have to be in the water. What's also interesting is that when crabs mate, the water temperature as well as the outside temperature, or out of water temperature, right, have to be high. So we gotta have to have high temps, and then that gives them that prime condition to get it on. Crabs also have eyes that are similar to snails, and what I mean by that is that they're these long little tubes, right? And their little eyeballs are at the end of the tubes. And what's interesting about crab eyes is that their eyes in themselves are made of hundreds of little lenses in them, kind of like an insect.
Why did the crab cross the road?
To get to the other side?
No, it didn't. It took the sidewalk.
Crabs also have 10 legs, so 5 pairs of legs, right? And what's interesting is that apparently in the science community that their claws are considered to be legs. And crabs can also grow back their legs, just like how some lizards can grow back their tails. Well, crabs, if they lose a leg or something like that, they can grow it back within a year or so. Crabs communicate through sound, and the sound they do is through like drumming or flapping or waving their claws to each other and things like that. And what also is interesting, because crabs don't have any teeth, they actually have 2 stomachs. And so the first contact stomach apparently has some teeth in there, something like that. And so that's what grinds all the food down that they eat, grinds it down, and then it transfers into the second stomach into the digestion. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. Okay, so now let's get into the spirit message of the crab. So during my meditation, it took a while for an animal to come forward. But when I did, I started seeing a bunch of sand, and then slowly came the animal, and it was a crab. And he's like, "Hey, I am here. All right, I got a message for you." And so then what it did is it started taking me in beyond its shell and inside of himself. And so the message that this was telling me was, hey, go inside yourself. This is a very beautiful message and a concept in of itself, because sometimes we need moments to go slow and take time to go and reflect all those aspects inside yourself that may have been neglected. You know, like, is your ego in check? Are you really listening to your passion? Are you giving yourself enough freedom and space and confidence in who you really want to be and who you really are? Are you listening to those voices that are just deep inside of you? Are you allowing them to speak, right? Is there stuff that needs to be said to somebody else, or that you need to start working towards something, a project or a goal? Do you need to separate yourself from someone or something, right? And is that inner voice kind of telling you what you need to do? Is it screaming for a change? Is it guiding you towards a certain area or a certain thing to help be that catalyst for that change? So the real answers really are within inside of you, to take a moment and go inside of yourself, going beyond those shells, right? Get to that vulnerability, get into that mush inside of you, right? And find out who you really are as a core essence. Yeah, that's a very nice message. So another message that Crab wanted to come forward and give was be a guide. Of course, now some of these things parallel and they go hand in hand. Like, you know, going inside of yourself, and when you start expressing those voices inside of you, being who you really are, and what really drives you, what motivates you, and then you start carrying those voices out, start carrying that out, being that motivation, it starts to become part of your behavior on who you really are, then you actually are being a guide of that action, of that behavior, right? Whatever it may be, but is creating a sense of inspiration for others, right? And how that presentation of yourself is not only inspiring other people's, but it's also providing a guideline. You're providing a methodology that is inspiring other people, and they see you as a guide, or see your behavior as a guide, or your actions as a guide, right? And you can potentially inspire or motivate them into doing things that they didn't see was possible, but you were able to guide them. Or it could be more physical in the sense of actually guiding people, showing them the way of how to do something, showing them a way on how to behave, showing them a way or how to feel. Always take these messages and look inside of yourself and always interpret, what does guide mean to you? And put yourself in that place and see, how can you be a guide, right? Are you more of a passive guide or a proactive guide? Do you actively want to guide people as an action service, or do you just want to be a guide in the sense of, I'm just guiding myself? And then others who may find interest that you have no awareness that they're seeing you as a guide is a potential. Just being aware of the different types of guides out there, and or guides that you follow, right? So I've asked Crab, hey Crab, can you please share me an overall message that I can share to my listeners, to more of a whole, right? And so Crab came back and he said, protect yourself. I thought that was really interesting, but it made sense for a crab as an exoskeleton creature, meaning that its skin, right, is its skeleton. It's a hard body, and so it's gooey on the inside. And so I found this really interesting because the last animal, which is the shark, and when his big message was as a guardian, and I found a guardian and protect is very similar. So, but I see the difference. So with this, protect yourself is more of like a shield in a way. It's something more physical, more external outside yourself. And it's blocking something coming in and being able to protect that, right? You're protecting your health in different ways. How can you protect yourself emotionally? Like the type of information that you're absorbing, how is that affecting your emotions? How is that affecting your mentality? So that's a good way of maybe learning how to protect yourself from those type of sources. Being able to protect yourself, think of it more as like a shield or a block, that you're able to preserve the sanctity of yourself, right? Because your body is your sanctuary, it's your temple, right? And this is the thing that is truly is yours, right? And everything on the inside. And so how can you protect that? Because even if something doesn't come out and affect you physically, it can still come in and affect you emotionally and mentally, and even spiritually, right? And so there's more inside of you just physically that needs to be protected, right? And so be mindful of how you can protect those vulnerabilities that are inside of you. Because when those vulnerabilities inside of you, when they get infiltrated, it can have effect on the outside. It's like a rot from the inside out, right? So this is a good way to learn about building those shields to protect all aspects the coming in. And there's also the concept of understanding that when things do come inside of you and they do cause a disturbance, they do cause harm and things like that, it may not necessarily be a failure of you being able to protect yourself, but if anything, more of an awareness of what is out there and being able to go through that experience of seeing that disturbance or infiltration. You are now more of aware, and so then you're able to actually grow stronger shields, thicker shield, wider shields, however you want to see it, right? But it actually helps develop. If you allow it to, it will build a stronger fortitude within you. And if it hasn't, then it's still inside of you consuming. And so that's a good way to learn to purge that so you can grow those shields and make sure that you're very protected. But yeah, I think that's the message from Crab that it has to say. Yeah. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. But if you did, feel free to like and subscribe. That would be really appreciative. And thank you.
A guy went to the seafood store carrying a crab, and he asked the owner, "Do you sell crab cakes?"
Why? Yes, we do.
Great, this guy's birthday.